Yeah. And before we start the official interview, I just wanted to chat for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to kind of just, I loved your book so much. You're such a nerd. Do you bake?
I do bake, not well though.
I
It
don't think
doesn't
that
matter.
matters. I mean, who thinks of that? I literally was scrolling through like hundreds of authors and I'm like, a baking edition. She's a nerd. I know what your Saturday nights are like. They're very stuffy, right?
It depends. It depends. My husband's very fun, so he keeps trying to like get me out of my shell, you know.
Oh yeah. You guys seem very active. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. We're trying to, keep it busy, enjoy life, all those things. So
that's always good.
And you're new to writing, right? You're a lawyer most of the time?
yes. So I've been writing trying to write books for about 5 years now. But really only like publishing for the last two. And then obviously like back in the day, like writing stories, but not really trying to do anything serious with them. So
Yeah.
pretty new.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's great.
Yeah. Back in the day counts though. It always does.
That's where you get your practice.
Where bad ideas come from.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So, what were you doing, and where were you at when the idea of combining magic and cupcakes sort of blossomed or rose in your mind?
I have always really been fascinated by magic systems. I think that's one of the parts of fantasy books that I are most fascinated with. So, most of my books that I have written thus far kind of started with the idea for a particular magic system. So it was more of like a brainstorm about like, imagining all the different ways that magic could arise in, the world, and the food magic just kind of came up, and I, right away I was like, ooh, that's fun, that's good. So that it didn't start out as a cupcake, but kind of generally, food magic was where it began.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Systems of magic are great. That's part of the reason to read. If there's anything you want your readers to get from your novel, specifically The Confectioner's Guild, what would you want them to get from it as they read it?
Oh man, I guess one of the underlying themes is kind of like trust and family. Like the family family is the one that you choose, not necessarily the one you're born with, and so that is definitely something that I hope is underlying, and kind of is internalized as a reader goes through the series. But I wanted the series to be serious and lighthearted at the same time, and even when there were murders and conspiracies and everything, it was still a little bit fun. And so I hope that the reader kind of takes that away, that it's still, you kind of have to be silly when your book is based on magic cupcakes, at least to some extent. So.
It definitely comes off as lighthearted just right from the beginning. Even with the description, like it's a mystery, you have food magic. It's just like you already are on this fun adventure before the book even starts. So I think it's great.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so what author was foundational in developing your aesthetics as a reader and a writer?
I would say Robert Jordan was probably one of my like foundational authors. I read, the whole Wheel of Time series as a kid, although it hadn't really even finished until, adulthood.
Yeah.
But just really that kind of idea of an epic fantasy world, just spanning, so many characters and different storylines, I think was kind of one of the first really inspiring stories I read. I also read a lot of Mercedes Lackey. She had her like Heralds of Voldemort series, which when I was a kid, I was like really into horses, and her magic system is all about like horses. So it was, really kind of appealing from like for a young girl who's into animals and horses and all that stuff. And so yeah, it was just kind of being able to be pulled into those worlds, and creating a world where the reader really wants to spend time. So those are definitely some of my early inspirations. more recently, I have read a lot more young adult fantasy, and I would say like Leigh Bardugo and Lanny Taylor are two of my big inspirations these days. Like I aspire to write, with their kind of prose, lyrical prose, and their really complex characters. So it's a constant battle as a writer. You're always improving your craft. So yeah, I kind of, there's like all the span of authors I've read over the years that I think still kind of impact how I write today.
Absolutely.
That's great. And then other than fame, fortune, and immortality, why do you write?
I don't know. I love to read. So it just felt like something I wanted to do, to try my hand at it. And it just seems like the coolest profession. Like if I could be anything in the whole world, I would want to be an author. So I figured I should just try to do that.
Totally.
That's so basically a little bit of all three.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind some fame and fortune like sprinkled on there too, but
immortality.
Yeah, totally.
This one's okay. Serious question.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what issues in your own life do you or have you had to wrangle with in order to get where you are today? Yeah, a little bit easy, but
Yeah. Well, definitely self-doubt is a huge one for me, and I think many writers. Just kind of being able to work past that voice in your head that's like, this is terrible, you'll never make it.
Yeah.
So to just kind of work past that and ignore it. And, it's nerve-wracking to put yourself out there, especially with your first couple books. I feel like I'm on my 15th book now. I feel like I've written enough now that I, feel like I'm established that I at least don't totally suck at it, and that the readers are liking what I'm putting out. So that is definitely a big one. I would say time management is another huge one. I am a lawyer for my day job, and that's, a demanding profession with long hours. And so it's always a challenge to find the time to, be writing and, fit it in a way that you have, enough creative juice left to put something quality on the page is, a struggle. I, ultimately ended up kind of waking up at 5 a.m. and writing in the morning because that was when I was freshest, which kind of sucks, but that was the way to make it work. And then I would say that the third thing is probably jealousy. It's hard to see other authors writing these amazing books and wishing that you had written that book, or, even when you see people, being successful, you're so happy for them, but you really want that for yourself too. So that is always a battle too, to just, kind of stay in your own lane and not really compare yourself to what anyone else is doing, and just, do the best that you can do every day. And that's all you can really do.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say the jealousy part. It's like you have to wait for your time, it's like it's this author's time right now, and you have to be okay with that, but you want it for yourself too.
Yes, and I'm very impatient, so I have a hard time waiting.
Okay, this next one is very apt. If you had to choose, what dessert would you have if it was your last?
Okay.
Big stakes.
I'm really into macaroons, like the French ones, not the coconut ones. That would probably be my choice. I just think those are pretty delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will accept this answer.
Okay.
Take it. Yes.
What
is your most unpopular opinion?
She wrote that one.
Yeah. It was like a Twitter trend for a while, and it's just like stuck in my head. I'm like, yes, we need to have more of those.
So I don't really like the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, and I feel like I am very, in a very small corner of readers and YA fans for having that opinion, but they just never really spoke to me in the way that some of the other series are. And, I know she has some diehard fans and people who are so into that universe, but I'm just not one of them.
All right. Respected.
Okay, what's your favorite beverage, and what weather would you choose to imbibe it in? I know I wrote it, and I was like I should use the word imbibe, and then I didn't get to say out loud, but I did it. It's there.
I Well, I live in Seattle, so I feel like I have to say coffee. I really like a good latte with coconut milk is kind of my go-to beverage. And I feel like also being in Seattle, you kind of have to imbibe your beautiful latte in a coffee shop on a dark and stormy day with like rain coming down the windows.
Yeah.
So that would probably be my like beverage aesthetic of choice.
Good.
I could feel the ambiance from here.
Yeah.
If you can live in any book, which would it be and why?
I feel like you got to say Harry Potter. I mean, it's just if you could go to Hogwarts, I feel like that's
It's so great.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you need really? So yeah, that would probably be my choice. But post like Voldemort and the Death Eaters,
Right. When they're peaceful. And it's like, you have to think like, okay, all these books, it's like, no one wants to be in the Hunger Games, like think of all your favorite novels and you're like, do I really want to be in there? Like, no. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Confectioners Guild, I kind of wanted to write a city where people could see themselves like hanging out, and so it's based on the Marauders, the main city is based on Seattle. So it has like a similar aesthetic to that, place you'd like to have a cup of coffee.
There you go.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, and so our last question: what character in the Confectioners Guild is your favorite?
Hale Farina is my favorite character. He's kind of a brother type character to Ren, the main character, but he has, I think, the most complicated story and character arc through the whole series. He really gets some tough blows throughout the series, and he puts on a really like kind of brash, egotistical front. He's this kind of really good looking guy who you'd think has everything going for him. But as the, books progressed, kind of things get, taken away from him piece by piece, and you kind of see how he handles that. So he was the funnest to write. He was pretty irreverent and, just not afraid to say what he thought and offend anyone. So that's a fun character to write.
That's really cool. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, great. That was a fun interview. It was really nice meeting you, Claire.
Yeah, those are our questions.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you have anything else to say to anyone that's listening to or watching this video?
Just thanks for watching, and I hope that you guys give my magic cupcake and a murder a chance with the Confectioners Guild. And just thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, and those are available on Amazon. Are they on iBooks or Barnes & Noble? Where else?
The ebook is exclusive to Amazon, so it is in Kindle Unlimited, but the paperbacks are available everywhere. So awesome. And hardbacks. So
awesome. And we will be including some links in this video description, or if it's embedded in our blog. So we'll make sure to give people a clear direction of where to go to check out your books.
Awesome.
We're really excited to be talking with you and to be like doing a deep dive with you and your books this week.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Just one bite and you will be entranced with the magical cupcake.
Oh, good.
Yes. Yes.
That's music to my ears.
That's a really concise and effective tagline.
Yes.
You can use it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Nice talking with you.
Yeah, nice talking with you too.
Bye, Claire.